So you want to get into cars, but where do you even start? Luckily for me, I started a while back when this hobby was actually affordable and you could actually get nice and cool cars without spending your entire life savings. This is my 1988 Honda Civic. You can't find these for good money anymore. I got this shell for $800. I got the engine and most of the parts that are in it for $2,000. You're not gonna be able to find something like this for that money anymore, but there are other ways to find things that might be adjacent to this without spending this much money. This guy really fucking pisses me off. I can't stand this shit. It can seem almost impossible to find a car that's not only worth having, but worth working on. But the fact of the matter is, this kind of stuff is important. With the way that the current automotive industry is headed, if we don't start working on these cars now, we might just be the last generation or two who can actually get their hands dirty. So to me, it's very important that you know exactly how to find the right car and get started. So first things first, let's identify what it is that we want and need. The way that I typically like to do this is I write down my short list of must-haves and some things that would be nice. Once you have that short list, let's get that on paper and let's try to start finding stuff from there. After racking my brains for the last few days, I've come up with a short list of cars that I think suit my needs and would be nice to have. Now, unfortunately, they're not going to be the first things that come to mind. I really wanted to get a Toyota pickup or a Mazda B or something along those lines. They're not very spacious or comfortable, but they have a huge aftermarket, and honestly, if I can lower one and still tow stuff with it, that'd be pretty cool. There's a huge community online of people with these old Toyota pickups, and I'd love to own one, but for one in decent condition, they're just way out of my price range. It was at this point that I was kind of feeling a little hopeless. I figured maybe I wasn't going to be able to find what I wanted or needed within my price range. And it can be very easy to get defeated at this point. But then came my holy grail for inspiration when it comes to these things: Motor Week. Motor Week, for those who are uninitiated, used to be essentially the TV form of a car and driver magazine. Not only did they review these cars as they came out, they went over their utility, road tests, including off-road tests in our case, and they just give you a wealth of information. They'd even shown me cars that I didn't know existed, which is what got me to where I am now.
Motor Week 88.
So digging through the Motor Week archives of reviews of Honda vehicles that came out back in the 80s and 90s, I've settled on two things. First and foremost, the first gen Honda Odyssey. For my money, the Honda Odyssey is the ultimate sleeper minivan for car guys.
The Honda Odyssey fucks.
Especially the 98 model. The 98 Odyssey got an upgrade to an actual fucking VTEC enabled engine. It's single overhead cam, so not as cool as the B series, but speaking of engines, the F23A7 pumped out 150 horsepower from this fucking thing. Not only that, but I have seen so many of these slam to their nuts and they look mwah, fucking incredible. It helps that this is quite literally just an Accord. The platform is the same, the parts are the same. This is very much an 80s Honda Accord. This would be pretty incredible if it wasn't for the fact that it can't tow shit, because again, it's a Honda Accord. Even despite that, I would absolutely go ahead and buy one of these because they're cheap. They're not extremely available, with only a couple of them being around in the Austin, Texas area. But if you find them, you can get them at a good price, and the parts availability are practically endless. So why didn't I end up going with the coolest minivan to ever minivan? Well, allow me to introduce you to the coolest thing Honda never even did. This, my friends, is the first gen Honda Passport. The reason I said Honda never did it is because as much as this is a Honda, it's even more an Isuzu. This is a rebadge of the Isuzu Rodeo, one of the most, I think, classiest and coolest looking SUVs that come out of the 80s, period. It is screaming JDM off-roading, and I absolutely love it. Not only does it look this way, it seats more than the Honda CR-V. It sits just as many people as the Odyssey does, and here's the cherry on top. It's got a V6 in it. I know what car we're buying. So, with all of that out of the way and a decision finally made on what car we're buying and why, where am I gonna find it? And why is it across the country? Now, I don't expect everybody to understand this, but up here in the Midwest and the North, for that matter, it snows. It snows a lot. And because of that, we have to put ice on the road so we don't absolutely fucking kill ourselves trying to get to work every day. What that salt does to a car is sad to look at and honestly really dangerous. So even though I could find a Passport in really good condition, they're all gonna have some rust damage, and quite frankly, I'm not willing or able to fix that stuff. In addition to that, I have people in Austin that I'd miss and I'd like to see, and I got a bunch of stuff down there that I need to grab, load into a car, and drive back up to Wisconsin. So with all of that said, let's get to Marketplace, let's find something, contact somebody, find a plane ticket, get that taken care of, fly down to Houston, and get a Passport. Hey. Yeah, unfortunately this did not go off without a hitch. Trying to find a Honda Passport that's manual has proven to be difficult, to say the least. It's looking like we're on the right track, we know what we're trying to find, we know where to go to find it, but honestly, it's been a headache and a half, and I'd like to get to a point where I didn't have to settle for something or spend way too much money if I'm going to be flying out there. While I am excited and I really want one of these trucks, I also need to keep in mind that my financial stability is paramount. So we're gonna calm down and we're gonna concede. Welcome to day 3. Now, unfortunately, we weren't able to find exactly what we were looking for. As a matter of fact, I don't think I'd be able to find it under these circumstances to begin with. So where do we stand? As of right now, I can't really find a manual Passport in or around Houston or Dallas or Austin at all. It's actually really hard to find these things if you're not using a nationwide search aggregator for Facebook Marketplace, and unfortunately, the one that I like to use is down. So I've bent the knee and settled on something that I know I can find and is within my price range. Allow me to introduce you to our 2 candidates. This is Schronk. Schronk is a 1996 Isuzu Rodeo that has had a lot of service done. The heating and air conditioning apparently works. We have an entire laundry list of recent maintenance done, and it's been garage kept since day 1 by the same owner. According to Rafael Vargas, who has it listed on his Facebook Marketplace profile, it has new tires, a new fuel pump, new fuel injector, a new filler neck for the fuel door, a new radiator, a new clutch, a new timing belt, and all the other accessory belts. And it has been his daily winter car for the last 6 months or so. Now, Schronk is really nice. I unfortunately really do like those aftermarket chromy wheels, and I'd like to polish them. I think that would make a good video for y'all. And the price is right at around $3 grand. I'm sure I could talk him down even a bit more if it came down to it. The reason I say I'm settling for this is, again, it's not a Honda Passport. Now, it'd be pretty simple to rebadge it myself if I could find one at a junkyard or the parts online. I don't know if I need to be doing all that, but it is an option. And the cherry on top, it's a manual. It's gotta be a manual or I'm just not interested. This is our unnamed second in place. I don't have a name for him quite yet because honestly, nothing really pops out to me and I'd have to decide that on the road trip up. He is a 1997 Isuzu Rodeo. Same spec and everything as the other one, just in a bit rougher shape. Apparently, everything is in working order, and from the photos that are in the listing, it looks fine. That said, he's my second choice. A backup, if you will. The idea is to pick up Schronk and drive up, but honestly, if it doesn't work out with Schronk, he will be my second go-to. Different year, same spec. The owner doesn't have a whole lot of information as far as maintenance goes, other than saying everything works fine. He does have a little bit higher mileage than Schronk at 220,000 miles, but honestly, I think this gray guy's just been used a bit more. Schronk has been garage kept for a while and only owned by 2 people, being the original owner and his son. So honestly, not a bad idea. I definitely need to get it to a garage and have a post-purchase inspection done if I were to go with the gray guy, but I really do think that Schronk is a good idea. So we found our car. I had a couple people ask me why exactly being a manual was a must-have for the rodeo slash passport. And I want to touch on a step that might be skipped by some of you in your eagerness to, get this car that you've decided you really want. You need to do research on common failure points on these cars. And honestly, if you're going to be getting one, trying to find one that is the latest model year is your best friend. There are going to be scheduled service intervals for everything, and you're going to need to figure out whether or not that work has been done before you buy it. And after you buy it, once you have your hands on the keys and the title and it's in your name and everything, before you daily it, before you drive it across the country like I'm about to do, you need to get caught up on that maintenance. One of the common failure points, even a huge sob story I saw on Facebook Marketplace, is this girl who unfortunately was forced to sell her rodeo for $600 because the automatic transmission gave out, and it is unfortunately quite the task to do a manual swap on these. It's not unheard of, it's not impossible, but finding the parts can be a pain in the ass, and a lot of times it's easier and more cost effective to just buy another car outright. I know I could have treated this car nicely and dealt with the automatic four-wheel drive and hoped to God that the previous owners really babied this thing, but I have no way of knowing that, and I'm not about to leave the fate of my daily up to the ether. Now, I'm not saying a manual can't be whooped on. They probably are more whooped on or poorly treated because it takes somebody who knows what they're doing to properly drive a manual car. That said, if something breaks in a manual, I can fix it. I'm not super well versed on rebuilding manual transmissions, but I know I can do it. And if the manual that I have does decide to blow up, I can find another one and swap it in an afternoon. That's not a huge deal. What is a huge deal is finding out what exactly would needed to be done to get a blown up automatic out of the car and swapped. This isn't a 1991 Honda Civic. It's not going to be straightforward like that. So I'm just not okay with buying an automatic transmission. Hey there, it's me. I unfortunately completely forgot to record an outro for this video, so this is me like days later when editing is 90% done. I will say this, I'd like to apologize for the audio in this video and the last. I am slowly learning what rooms in my house are echoey and which ones are not, so sorry about that. I guess the next time you see me, I will be on a plane, which will be a week from now, probably 2 weeks after this video goes up, and I will be headed out to Houston in order to buy this car. Now, granted, we still have a week to go. Both of those cars could sell and I could have bought my plane ticket already for no reason. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, Schrank is still available in 7 days and I can go fly down there and pick it up with, pockets full of cash and everything will go fine. But knowing me, there's a good chance that doesn't happen. So the upside to that is it'll make for good content. The downside of that is, well, I'll probably put myself through hell just to get here on time to go back to work. Anyways, all of that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed a lot of the more in-depth editing that went into this video than the last. I made sure to have a lot more footage to actually work with, and I hope that can really show through with y'all. I've used a dedicated mic in this. I've used my dedicated 4K Sony Handycam too, and I will, whenever I can, trying to get some action cameras and stuff too for the more travel-y bits of the videos, but we'll see. The next video is going to be a bit lower in quality because I'm going to be using phones for everything because I have a couple that I can use, and that's just gonna have to be how it is. So do expect that in the next video, but with all of that out of the way, just thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you guys on the plane. Remember, stay tuned.